Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. We're going to play this week with bodies. I feel like I maybe haven't talked about that in a while. It's one of my favorite topics, actually. And I spend a lot of time in my own life playing with my own body. Confessions of a crazy body lady. And I just have had a lot of fun lately and a lot of exploratory, just awareness basically from the explorations that I've been having with my own body, that I was like, I think it'd be cool to do another podcast about this and about fascia and how incredible our bodies are. And what, like, when we tend the entrepreneurial biome, the whole kind of like premise and foundation of this podcast is about tending the biome of and nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. And so when we take anything in isolation, it doesn't consider that our life actually is an ecosystem. Even if you try to separate things and isolate things, our life still is an ecosystem, and it can be a thriving ecosystem, and it can be a very stressed and diminished ecosystem. And that's the biome. That's that entrepreneurial biome, which is, when I say entrepreneurial, I just mean like the creative spirit that so many of us have that we would like to bring to the world. And business can be a vehicle for that. For a lot of people, business is one of those areas that it's like it's a drag. People don't have the joy of business. You show up, you do your thing, you get your money, you go, and you keep it separate. And the invitation for the entrepreneurial biome is the joy of business, and actually the inclusion of our bodies and our creative world and our being ourselves in that exploration, and what is possible when we really start to have the fullness of all of it, and to nurture and tend the ecosystem of our lives. And the body is it's such an incredible gift to all of this. And because one of the things that is, I work in a lot of different ways with the body and with bodies. And one of the things that is kind of one of the main places that I've been playing recently in my own body, my body's kind of like my little laboratory. So playing with that, and then also with other people's bodies, is with fascia. And I have talked about fascia quite a bit in previous podcasts, like, maybe when I first started doing this podcast, which was about a year ago, I did a whole bunch of stuff around the fascia and trauma and PTSD and unwinding all of that from a somatic level. And I really kind of like set out to do that with myself over the past year. I spent a lot of time getting my hands on different tools specifically that work with the fascia, and also the tools of access consciousness, some of the body work, SE, which is energetic synthesis of structural embodiment. That's a type of body work that I do that I also love to receive. It's energetic. It works with the fascia, but it works with way more than the fascia. SE is really woven through everything that I do. Because it addresses the connection between our tissue and our judgments, and also how we, like, the ways in which we have communion with the world. And we can create separation from the rest of the world, which most of us do in various ways. We create separation from the rest of the world, and we actually internalize that. We create our bodies based on our points of view. So the molecules, we all know this is a proven, scientific fact, basically, that a molecule, the behavior of a molecule, is sort of, it's determined by the space that it exists within. So if you observe a molecule, it changes. And and so what we look at in access consciousness is we are the space, like your being is the space between the molecules of your body. And so how we show up as a being, the judgments that we have, the judgments that we don't have, the points of view. If you want to deep dive into points of view, thoughts, feelings, emotions, judgments, go to last week's podcast. I talked a lot about that. But that space that we be with ourselves, with our bodies, and the world, it determines the behavior of the molecules of our body, which shapes how our fascia shows up. It shapes, and so let's just stop there. So it shapes the fascia, it shapes the texture, the solidity, the viscosity, the energy, the behavior of our fascia. And that's just one thing. Like, there's a lot more to all of this, but I want to kind of hone in on that, because the fascia so if you don't know what fascia is, I'm kind of just assuming that you do. It's kind of a buzzword right now, and it's also, I've talked a lot about it. So if you have been listening to this podcast, you would know. But fascia is that really, really thin membranous tissue. The easiest way to kind of get a visual of it is if you've ever, worked with like a piece of chicken, and there's that really thin membrane that kind of covers the chicken, and you can pull it off, and it's very, very, very thin and very strong, like very, very strong, amazingly strong for how thin it is. And it wraps our organs, our tissues, our muscles, our connective tissue. I mean, it kind of is our connective tissue. Connective tissue is like super concentrated fascia, basically. And it wraps everything in our body. And so there's more fascia in our body than probably anything. I don't know. I haven't looked at research studies on this. I may though. I'm kind of about to, because I'm so interested in it. And it's so fascinating. So anyway, so the fascia is, and it's continuous, like it's contiguous. It's not like segmented, oh, there's some fascia here, there's some fascia here. It's like a sheath that wraps everything. And so one of the examples I use a lot is like, if you look at my sweater, it's like if I bunch up my sweater here, it's going to pull all the way over here. It's going to pull the whole shape will be changed. It will be pulled. It will be stretched. And how it lays on my body will be different, and that's what happens with fascia. Is we have these adhesions, we have a solidification in the fascia that can actually come from our judgments. It can come from our thoughts and feelings and emotions. It can come from how we define ourselves, how we show up in the world, where we limit ourselves. It can also come from injury. It can also come from trauma, because the fascia is very, very connected to the nervous system. It wraps all of the nerve endings and the nerves. So it's everywhere. It determines the flow of lymph in our bodies. It's everywhere. And so, it's quite, it's a very, very, very important tissue that is completely underaddressed and basically ignored in the medical world. I don't really know any medical people that look at the fascia ever. And to me, what I've discovered in my own body is like, I mean, my body's taken me on this adventure in the past year of exploring my fascia and how it relates to everything, to the whole biome. And it's absolutely incredible. And so, and a lot of it has been through pain that I've had. I've had pain in my hip. I've had different things going on in my body. And I have a lot of tools already. I had a lot of tools already for changing things with my body, the access consciousness body processes, SE, all these different things. Some questions, there's a lot of verbal tools that I have that can even just change the energy of things with our body. And then, it's different. And somehow there was more that I required. And so I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to explore my own nervous system, my own fascia, the pain in my body, and the solidity of my tissue, and do whatever I can do to unwind it and see how that translates into the biome, into my business, into my living, into my relationships. And it's been extraordinary. I've added a lot of tools. I've talked about cold plunging. That's been incredible. It's actually like deeply relaxing in a very strange way. I never thought that would be the case. I never thought I would say that, but cold plunging has been deeply relaxing and enlivening for me. And it's helped me restore my tissue. I do SE. I mean, I do SE on myself as much as possible. It's really way more powerful when you do it on somebody else, because you're interacting with the molecules. Your molecules and the space of you is interacting with their space and their molecules. And SE can just melt bound fascia, tissue, pain out of people's universes. And I've seen in the body work that I do, consistently, I've had people that came to me in pain, and after one session, it was gone. That's been really amazing. And I actually know that, like, anytime somebody tells me they have something going on with their body, I'm like, can I just touch it? I just want to get my hands on it. Because I'm just, bodies talk to me, and I can sort of like see into people's bodies, like energetically, and I can see what happens with the fascia and how that arranges the bones and the tissue and creates pain patterns and postural compensatory patterns. And there's so many pieces to this. And side note, the bowspring movement that I've been doing, which I've done some podcasts about that as well, has also, that's one of the main ways that I change my fascia, and then I help other people to change their fascia, and therefore their posture, and therefore their bodies get out of pain, get stronger, have a lot more intrinsic stability and strength that allows them to go out in their lives in every way and show up more, have more possibilities with their bodies, and then let that translate into their business. And you become more confident, you become more open, you take on more of an open posture. And there's all this incredible things, all these like creativity and creative spaces that show up from that. So I'm kind of unloading a lot here, but I just wanted to, it's almost kind of like reporting back in from my year of, research on my own body. And I'm so grateful because my body has changed so much in this past year. And a lot of it has been inside. And that has also translated into my business has changed so much. I've changed so much. I have so much more ease in my life than I've ever had. I have so much more space and joy and relaxation. And I know I'm just getting started. I'm really excited about where else to go here with all of this. And so so let's look kind of zoom in a little bit on this conversation about the fascia. Because if there's, well, from a structural, physical, like pain perspective, well, let me tell you a little story. This just happened yesterday. I've had this pattern, and because I work with my own body so much, which I actually think is really one of the most beautiful things we can do. And you don't have to be an expert. I mean, you are an expert. You are the world's leading expert on your own body. So that I would like you to acknowledge as much as you can, or, if you would like to, but I invite you to, because the world is set up in such a way that we're not seen as the experts on our body. In fact, we're seen as idiots. The doctors are the experts. Well, there's no doctor in the world that is more of an expert on my body than I am. There are doctors in the world, and other people as well that aren't doctors, that have information that I don't have, that contribute to my awareness of what else is possible with my body. Those are the people that I work with. I have a beautiful Chinese doctor. I have a naturopath, different beautiful chiropractors. So people that work with my body, access consciousness practitioners, that help me with my body, but they support me. It's a co-creative process. And I would never allow anybody to come near my body that thinks that they know more about my body than I do. No, thank you. I'm not interested in that. So, okay. So and there are people that like really contribute a lot. So I'm just sharing that energy so that you can, if that's a contribution to you in terms of like who you choose to allow into the space of your, what's going on with your body, to trust, it's not about separating from people, but just to trust people and to have to get like to know that the information and awareness that they have could be a contribution to you, but let it build your own awareness rather than replacing it. So I've been having this all of these fascial patterns in my right leg and my right hip. It's been something that I've been unwinding for actually a couple years. It's been kind of a long process. I'm a little, like, okay, I'm ready to get on my ice skates again. And but it's been so cool what it's yielded. And as I work more with my own body, I start to know where the adhesions are in the fascia, where things are bound. And, if fascia wraps a muscle and then it gets hardened, because fascia can go anywhere from gel like to hard, like solid, like steel. We want it to be more gel like. That allows for like the pulsation of everything, energetics, the lymph system, the nervous system, the muscles, the breath, the everything, the flow of our blood, everything. So more viscous fascia is healthier, lubricated, and the harder, more steel-like is going to kind of strangle stuff. It can strangle your organs, your nerves. It'll lock down trauma patterns in your body. It will lock down muscle inhibition. It will lock down, anything, that, because if it's just like, if you are surrounded by like a hard, steel-like thing, you can't move within that. So that's what happens with our organs, our nerves, our nervous system, our muscles, our circulation, like our blood vessels, all of it. So, so when you have a muscle that has adhesed steel-like fascia around it, that muscle won't be able to fire in the way that it could. And so as I've been, my right leg has been like a great contribution to all of this awareness. Thank you, right leg. It like there's like my right quad in particular is one of the areas where I feel like I haven't been able to get a lot of engagement in that muscle. One of the things we work with in the bowspring movement system is uniform tone. So establishing all the muscles, kind of like toning in a uniform way, nothing dominating anything else. But like if you look at your leg, like say your thigh, all the muscles around your femur, which is your thigh bone, engaging simultaneously in a uniform way. So nothing is dominant, nothing pulls, because if you have a dominant muscle, it'll pull and it will drive those those patterns of adhesion deeper into the tissue. And so, it was clear for me. I had some stuff going on in my knee and my right quad. It felt like it couldn't engage. And so what happens is then when you move, like for me, I was moving and other stuff was becoming more dominant, and that was atrophying the right quad. The whole inner line of my right thigh. And then I started to like explore, and I'm a total geek about this. So you may be like, okay, you're crazy. This is TMI. That's fine. This will contribute to somebody out there. I started to explore like my lower leg, and it was like, wow, there's this here and this here. And just, this is all just from like touching my leg. And I do a little bit of fascia blasting and just all these different things that I do. And finding, oh, wow, I think it's on my ankle. Wow, that's probably from the ice skating that I did. And And then I had a private session yesterday with John Friend, who's one of the creators of the Bowspring movement system. And he was like, okay, well, let's look at the space between your second and third toes on your right foot. And I'm like, I love John. He's absolutely so brilliant with anatomy. I'll have him on here. I've had Desi Springer on here, who is one of the developers, and Bowspring was kind of like her brainchild, and then she and John have developed it so beautifully and dynamically. But John is like probably the foremost anatomy expert that I've ever met in my life. Like he knows so much about anatomy and fascia and how it's all connected. And I have such a joy and gratitude to be able to study with him and learn from him, both of them, Desi and John both. So I started to look at this right between my second and third toe on my right foot. And lo and behold, I put my finger in that space between the bones, and I was like, yowza. There is so much pain there. And so we started working on it. I started doing self-massage and some SE, and then doing some movement stuff. And we did this whole Bowspring series that he took me through, a movement series of really strange and bizarre and wonderful postures that unwound that space and kind of helped my body get into more of a curvaceous postural, open postural integrity, which from a Bowspring perspective is completely different than what most people think of when they think of posture. It's its own thing that actually acknowledges the details and the intricacies of the body and how everything is connected. And I've never seen anything unwind a body so quickly and get people into like an empowered posture, free of pain, myself included. And it's taken some time. Like this practice has unwound it continues to unwind my fascia and contribute to the lubrication of it, the softening of it, my fascia becoming more gel-like, in conjunction with everything else that I'm doing. But it was amazing to tap into this little spot there and do all these things that connected it with everywhere else that I was having stuff going on in my leg. And in 40 minutes, the whole thing unwound. It was incredible. And, it's not permanent. I mean, it will be soon, because I will keep doing this practice. And, every day create more opening where there needs to be opening and strength where there needs to be strength. And so it's just so fascinating to me. And what the thing that has been so cool for, I mean, I just am so amazed by all of this, because I'm like, you can go to one little area on your body and soften the fascia, unwind the fascia manually and posturally and through movement, through awareness, through intention, by asking your body to shift and change. And it's like this whole thing unwinds through your body because the fascia is all connected. So if I change something in my toe, it could change my jaw because the fascia is all connected. My toe, the fascia down there, is no longer pulling on the rest of it, you know? And there's other places where it pulls. And then it's like, wow, I start to feel this sense of like, my legs are underneath me more. My feet are like so powerful and so like so much more sensitized to the earth. And I have a greater connection to the earth, and I have a greater connection to me, and more of a sense of fluidity and a sense of space and a sense of possibility and a sense of creativity. Because I mean, the fascia wraps our brain, it compresses our brain when it's bound and held. And so we start to undo that, and we open our posture, and we liquefy this magical tissue. We start to release judgments as we do. We start to change our points of view without even knowing that we're changing our points of view, because we're changing the tissue that is really the primary tissue in the body that holds all of that in place. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, says that SE, the energetic body work, that it works with the fascia, and it works with it goes way beyond that. But he says that it melts the glue, which is our bound fascia and other things energetically. It melts the glue that holds our judgments in place, as he does this body work. It melts the glue that holds our judgments in place. It holds our judgments in place in our body, in our tissue, and that translates into our life, our living, our reality, our business. It translates into everything, how we show up in the world, what we allow ourselves to create. Your body's holding your judgments in place. You can unwind the judgments and your body will change. And because the space between the molecules of your your body changes when you change, you let go of your limiting beliefs. It changes the space between the molecules, which changes the behavior of the molecules, which allows them to be more buoyant, viscous, alive, dynamic, vibrant, etc. And then we also, we also change the actual tissue, and that also melts the judgments. It goes all ways, all directions, and then it ripples out into our lives energetically, and everything changes. And the thing is I could really simplify this, and this is one little aspect of what I'm talking about. But here's a relatable way to look at this. If you're in pain, how's that going? You know what I mean? Like, how do you show up in your business, your relationships, your life, if you're managing pain or contraction in your body, compression, contraction, closing down, which ultimately and eventually translates into illness and all these things. If you're having pain or limitation in your tissue, which we all do, it's something that needs to be taken care of and tended to over time, like continually. And I've been spending more and more time working with my own tissue, using another just total side note. I love castor oil these days. I've been doing castor oil packs. Like, you can just put castor oil. It's very goopy, but you can put it on your skin, wrap yourself with like a, thin, rag or cloth or something, and then put heat on it, and it will melt pain out of you. It will actually, my sense is that it actually melts our fascia. and it will melt pain out of your body. It's pretty incredible. So that's one of the ways that I've also been using. Another thing I've been doing to really turn all of the tissue more viscous, and then what you can create from there is pretty cool. But when you're in pain, it's hard to function, and you may not have pain, but you may have the precursors to that, which are just all these places where the fascia just starts to pull here, pull here, pull here, pull here. And then it's like this tug of war with your tissue that creates difficulty for how you move in your life in general. It does translate into everything. So if you're still listening to this, you might think I'm crazy, and that's cool. You probably wouldn't still be listening. I know that I'm crazy. I actually love that about myself. I enjoy it more and more all the time. I'm having so much fun with my body, and what I've seen is really reverse aging, like reversing the aging that my tissue has kind of taken on over the years, from points of view and movement patterns that were not productive and all that kind of stuff. So it's so cool that we have these tools to unwind this stuff. We can do it with our own bodies. We can do it with each other's bodies. We can do it through movement. We can do it by changing our points of view. Everything goes all ways. And then your life becomes greater. And like having a really alive, really healthy, really vibrant, really dynamic body and tissue is like one of the greatest gifts, and actually a very dynamic rarity on the planet. Very, very rare, actually. Most people are sick, and a lot of them don't know it, loaded up with pharmaceuticals, and really bound and adhesed all over the place, and they don't know it. And over time, it just compresses and shrinks our worlds in every way more and more and more. And it's incredible. Like, to me, when I look at bodies, I see total possibility. I see that anything and everything can change. And I honestly don't believe that there's anything that is not changeable in a body. You just have to have the right tools, and you have to have the different tools. The medical world is never going to get you there. Like, the medical world is interested in you being a lifelong client. Which means take this drug and then take another one that deals with the side effects of that one, and then another one and another one. And then you might be feeling okay, and that's great. You shouldn't really be asking for more than that. But in 20 years, it's all going to fall apart. That's the medical world. And I'm not really interested in that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in possibilities with our bodies and the generativity that they are, the regenerative capacities that our tissues have, our nervous system has, all of our bodies are regenerating all the time. We can facilitate that, or we can inhibit that. And so this is just an invitation to a completely different way of functioning with your body. There's lots of tools in Access Consciousness. There's the 3-day body classes, which are beautiful. The Access Consciousness bars, the foundation class. So a lot of access classes. There's the SE class. There's hands-on work. I love doing hands-on bodywork sessions, and also private intensives where I deep dive with people into, either a half day, full day, or 2 days of like really looking at the whole biome, their whole body and life and living, and working with the body in a lot of different ways. And I'm also doing I don't even know when it is. I think maybe in a month or so, at the end of October, I believe it starts, a class that I haven't done in a while. It's called Body Show Me, and it's an 8-week kind of semi-private class. It's open to 8 people, and we're going to be diving into, the topic is Body Show Me, what is true for you. So really exploring what's true for your unique body, because everybody is different, and empowering you to have a different relationship with it. It includes some private verbal sessions with me, and it's an online class, so it's a call a week for 8 weeks, and it's going to be really beautiful. I'm looking forward to it. So there's lots of different ways to work with me if you would like to explore this. Bowspring classes. I don't have anything on the books right now, but I'm sure I will soon. But if you live in Colorado, I do live class most Wednesdays evenings. So you can just reach out to me to get looped into that. So what else is possible with our incredible bodies? I hope you have more enjoyment of your body today after this than you ever had, and a greater sense of possibility than you've ever had. And enjoy. Your body is such a gift. Our bodies are part of this beautiful planet and this beautiful earth, and please let's enjoy them. I'm gonna, I do, and I highly recommend it because why not? Like, why else are we here if not to enjoy our bodies and the planet and the pleasure of being alive, which we get to enjoy through and with our bodies? How does it get better than that? Thank you so much for listening and for being you. I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.